What effect is it having on possible ceasefire talks? And as you know, we were just discussing, there is a larger geopolitical reality in the region.
Yeah, no doubt, Jose. Look, these strikes were calibrated to make an impact, and they were done also, I believe, to restore confidence amongst the Israeli people. Remember, on October 7th, there was a surprise attack that came into Israel, the single worst attack against the Israeli population in its history. And so by being preemptive and striking against Hezbollah rockets, which have depopulated much of the north of Israel, about 100,000 people have left their homes, that restores some deterrence and confidence amongst the Israeli people and does give some space, again, for the negotiation. And to your point, the ceasefire negotiation, it's close. It's always close. It has to get done. The hostages need to get out. The Palestinian civilians need to get a respite. And fortunately, the signals are that the negotiations can continue. So deterrence restored a bit, confidence amongst the Israeli people restored a bit, and the negotiations continuing forward. Hopefully this will get a deal.
Are you expressing some optimism?
You know, in the Middle East, it's always a little tricky to be too optimistic, but there are always deals to be had in the Middle East, including and especially after violent confrontations. That's the history of this conflict. That's how you resolve conflicts. You make peace. You make deals. And so our team, led by Bill Burns, is out in the region. We have the Qataris and the Egyptians walking hand in glove with the negotiators, talking to Hamas, the leader of Qatar going to Iran to say, don't escalate. This has to get done. President Biden is spending an inordinate amount of time on this. The hostage families are making pleas in public at the Republican convention, the Democratic convention, getting political support for it. I do think at a certain point, the prime minister has to decide that it's enough, that he has restored some deterrence, north and south, and he needs to get these people out. And this is the best and only way to truly get these hostages out.
Jason, just your thoughts on how is the best way to get the hostages out?
Well, first of all, Joel, I think, makes a great point about the population that's been removed from the northern Israel part. And so the restoration, as he put it, of Netanyahu giving confidence back to the Israeli people is part of that. But then the negotiations itself are going to be very difficult. We're talking about a lot of parties, to include Mossad chief and CIA chief, involved in the negotiation with places like Egypt and Qatar and Jordan. So what you're really seeing is a larger geopolitical shift. This is about regional balance of power, the Shia Muslims up in Iran. And Iran is facing a very dire consequence in their own home front, extraordinary executions, the people, a very low percentage in the turnout at the election. So they're really using a lot of this as a distraction to get to the hostage, which was your question. The hostage release is going to be like threading a needle, and it's going to require a lot of diplomacy. But I got to be honest with you, if you're sitting in Palestine, if you're sitting on the other side of this coin, watching the two intel chiefs, part of this negotiation is not going to breed confidence. So I think we have to look at that and question, what are the real signals being sent here?
Yeah, and Joel, I'm just, the Iranian regime since 1979 has been, to put it in a very nice way, not very, very interested in supporting the West. Certainly the United States is one of its enemies, as is Israel. How do you, Joel, deal with an Iran that, regardless of elections and what they supposedly show or not, is firmly in power in Iran and has that determination?
Yeah, Jose, that's definitely an understatement. Iran has been stirring up trouble across the region for decades now, supporting terrorist proxies like Hezbollah and Hamas and even the Houthis in Yemen, who are now all aiming rockets at Israel. And so there has to be an approach towards Iran that combines strength with diplomacy. President Biden was exquisite in terms of his management of this recent episode by saying to Iran, do not strike Israel. He did the same thing in April. And essentially, when Iran shot rockets at Israel, we, the United States, shot most of them down alongside Israel and our regional allies. So that strength, along with tough diplomacy and economic sanctions and trying to get Iran to change its ultimate behavior. It's a spoiler, and it pulls the strings of Hezbollah, as we're discussing. It pulls the strings of Hamas and the Houthis. It needs to understand that right now, what it's doing is not succeeding, and I don't believe it is succeeding. And as a result, it has to sort of changed its direction. There's a lot of uncertainty and instability in Tehran, but at this stage, at this moment, the combination of using all assets of national power is the best approach towards Iran. And of course, got to mention the nuclear program over time. Donald Trump ripped up the nuclear deal that we had that unleashed Iran's ability to move forward on its nuclear program. There has to be a way to find a new type of nuclear deal down the road that curtails their ability to get the world's worst weapons. That's always the top of mind.
Jose,
but I think it'd be pretty safe to... Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
I was just going to say, if we can add one more piece to that, the United States has leverage here, but one of the problems is our vulnerabilities in places like Syria and Iraq, where pockets of U.S. service members are still sitting vulnerable to Iranian proxies. And we just saw soldiers killed in the Jordan Tower just south of Iraq. And so there's a way to actually do flexible negotiation and stress the naval assets that Secretary Lloyd Austin put in the region. You talked about the carrier groups, the submarines. Those are really flexible, and they can bring accountability without necessarily leaving U.S. service members in small bases, fire bases in the middle of these hostile regions in between all these players. And if you notice, one of the ways Iran can stress the politics here and create the chaos is by threatening those U.S. service members. So as a service member representing Concerned Veterans for America, we believe that bringing those soldiers back to some fortified places where we have an advantage actually lets the U.S. be even more responsive and even more nimble with this.
Jason Beardsley and Joel Rubin, I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Jose.
Thanks, Jose.
Next on